some point, did you become familiar with Doug and Ashley Benefield?
Yes.
Okay. And when was this?
That would have been in 2020.
And do you recall about when in 2020 that was?
They came in for their first visit as a couple's visit on 7/15/2020.
Okay. So we heard from Dr. Broder, he was talking about his goal was to do an evaluation. What was your goal with meeting with them? Was it an evaluation or something else?
No, I was referred by another therapist to do trauma resolution treatment for both Doug and Ashley.
Okay. And as part of that, did you meet with them together as well as separate, or how did that work?
I did. I met with them originally as a couple. We ended the treatment as a couple, and then there were individual sessions in between.
Okay. I won't hold you to this, but about how many times did you see them?
So I met with Doug twice individually, Ashley 5 times individually, both of them as a couple twice. There was a total of 4 hours for couples, 10.5 hours for Ashley, and 4.5 hours for Doug.
Okay. And at the first session, did it seem to you as though, let me back up. The first session, was it together?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And during that first session, did it seem as though they wanted to work things out?
During the first session, they talked about, yes, they wanted to work things out.
Okay. When they were together, did they indicate they wanted to get back together, like reunify?
The goal was for them to reunify and moving to Maryland.
Okay. When Ashley met with you by herself, did she still make that representation?
That they were moving to Maryland, yes.
Okay. And was there anything different about her representation?
Ashley was different when she was separate from Doug in terms of more descriptive of things that had happened between the two of them that troubled her. So some stuff that was scary.
And we won't get into
Sure.
specifics, but
He asked the question, he's entitled to complete his answer. Overruled.
so did she indicate she still wanted to reconcile with him when she was with you alone?
Overruled.
Did she say she wanted to reconcile with him when she was alone with you?
So I don't recall whether she said she wanted to reconcile with him or not. I think that there were challenges in their marriage and she was questioning whether she wanted to be with him or not.
Okay. Did Ashley tell you that she and Doug were also seeing Dr. Broder?
They both mentioned that Dr. Broder was doing an evaluation, and I didn't know what it was regarding.
Okay. And did Ashley say to you at any time that she was frustrated with the system?
I think Ashley was discouraged. There had been many things brought up, accusations, CPS, judge, that didn't go her way. So I think there was definitely some discouragement with that.
Okay. And I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Did she express any frustration at the time it was taking for Dr. Broder's report?
Yeah, she thought that that was taking a very long time.
Okay. And did she express to you that she was worried about what his report would say or worried about when the report was released?
She was worried about what it would say. She said if it were to be disparaging of Doug, she was concerned that he would be upset and take some form of retribution with that.
Okay. Did she, the last time that you saw them was when?
The last visit was on 9/25/20.
Do you remember what day of the week that was? You might not, but
Maybe Thursday, Friday?
Okay.
I can look if you need that.
no, that's okay.
Okay.
And about what time of day was it?
I believe that was a morning session. 10:30-ish.
Did they say Dr. Broder's report was done?
I don't recall them saying that the report was done. I know that they had been waiting on it, and it was supposed to determine specific things for how they move forward.
Okay. And did they indicate when they were going to court next?
I do not know that. I don't recall anything mentioned
Okay.
about when court was.
Did they indicate to you when they expected they were going to have access to that report? Excuse me.
No, I don't. There was not a when the report was going to be released. It was going to happen at some point.
Okay.
My understanding is that they still had plans to move to Maryland.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay.
Cross.
Afternoon, Dr. Quintel.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good. So tell us why, when you met with them, Ashley was different when she was alone and when she was together with Doug in meeting with you.
So Ashley presented that she was concerned about Doug. There was prior acts of violence, shooting a gun, no.
Sustained.
Okay, without? Yeah. Oh, you have no idea. Without?
Why don't you go ahead, excuse me, Deputy, would you please go ahead and take the jury out? Remember, please don't begin your deliberations. You can use your phones, but don't talk with anybody outside of the jury. And don't do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics you've heard anything about. Dr. Quintel, I'm going to excuse you to the hallway.
Okay. Take
The-
my stuff with me.
Yes, sir. The rule of sequestration has been invoked.
I don't even know what that means.
That's, I'm going to explain.
Okay, sorry.
What that means, you can all have a seat. What that means, sir, is that you're not to discuss your testimony or the questions that have been asked of you if you're in the courtroom. It also means that you can't discuss other witnesses' testimony, and that's with anybody or the questions they were asked. That's with the attorneys, other parties, witnesses. It doesn't matter. You can't discuss anything that's gone on inside the courtroom when you've been in here. Also, that I understand this may be online, and you are not to watch anything online until you're released from your subpoena or the jury has been released from its duties.
Okay,
All right, so if you
Sounds
can step
great.
out. Thank you, sir.
thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Taylor, is there anything you'd like to share before I begin speaking?
I think I'm about to catch a whooping. I'm not quite sure why, but go ahead.
I believe that you expressed you're a veteran of over 400 jury trials.
Yes, sir.
This is all rhetorical. You can feel free to answer or not answer. My assumption is that you're familiar with trial process and procedure, that you're familiar with, as you had mentioned earlier, the rules of professional conduct and decorum. I'm also sure that you realize that if this court makes rulings that you disagree with, whether it's a passing disagreement or a fundamental disagreement with a ruling, I would imagine you're aware of the fact that if ultimately your client is convicted, either you or another attorney or a public defender, if she's indigent, will have every right to appeal to the Second District Court of Appeal every decision I've made. From the minute I sat down in this division and started making decisions in this case, all the way through the end of the case. I also would imagine that I'm not the first judge that has made rulings that you disagree with. I would imagine I'm not the first judge that you have looked at up here and said, where in the world did he or she get that from? I would hope that you have not engaged in the conduct like you just did. It was inappropriate. It was unprofessional. We're going to take just a few minutes break. I have this position and I understand criticism. And I expect that. I have often said that I think my job early on as a youth sports referee and umpire prepared me well for the criticism that comes with the job. However, those sorts of side comments are just, they're not appropriate, and I would caution you, sir, not to do that again. That's extrajudicial matters that have nothing to do with the case or the consideration of the jury. All right, so we'll take a 5-minute break and we'll be back.